Yarvi amalu tatavakashna kielimian turavo shumya kuturiavato turimikadiashna. Yahweh, God and Creator, we offer thanksgiving to know that your Spirit is with us. Your divine guidance and wisdom will come forth, bring deeper clarity into all our thoughts, words, and action, to reveal your glory in all that we experience upon this earth in any way, shape, or form. I relinquish to you, before each and every person on this call and all who will be listening through the recordings, I relinquish any thoughts prior to this moment. Seek your wisdom and counsel for all that you wish revealed in the nature of your life-giving and living prayer of this moment. And I want to begin with that thought right there, that life-giving and living prayer for this moment. Life-giving and living prayer for this moment. So I was explaining to somebody earlier, it is important to understand that if we submit ourselves to God and God alone, we will be given the words upon our tongue of the living prayer, which means the prayer of God's Spirit, which can be manifested in that moment by allowing for God's Spirit to govern you, to speak it fully within this earth, to speak for the spiritual release, to speak for the spiritual transformation, to speak for the spiritual encouragement, to speak for life itself. And I know that each and every person on this call, whether you're dealing with situations at work or within family or within friends or just situations you've witnessed on the street, there's times where we have to look at it and go, how do we remain encouraged and in peace in the midst of all of the world reveals? Seeing stuff that rise upon the street, seeing people that hurt one another, form views that are not of the nature of God's presence, form judgments in the thought process they hold, not measured by truth surrounding the individuals and situations they observe. It is incumbent upon us, if we are truly to seek God. I had a beautiful brother reach out for somebody that had just faced tremendous tragedy in so many aspects of his life, and the individual was literally cast to the street and losing everything and losing a wife. And then we see people within the congregation that can't even see their role within it because they judge the standing or stature of a person, the status of a person, forgetting that God's love, God's divine grace is available for all. Forgetting that we are gifted each moment to bless others, to embrace life, to gift that which we have received in such a way that it blesses others, not to control it, not to expect a certain result, but to be present for the nature of God's Spirit to emerge within that setting. And understand that we are called to this place of service and love. And even as we witness on this earth so many people that hurt one another, I think many of you might be familiar with the story, The Green Mile, with John Coffey. And he just says, I'm bone tired. I'm bone tired of seeing how people hurts one another and how people use love to hurt one another. And the reality is, God is present with us through it all. And in my understanding, that's the only way to find peace, clarity, and understanding within this as it unfolds. There is so much beauty that surrounds us, yet there is so much corruption that is unfolding in the darker places and in the lighter places. We are seeing situations that just come out of nowhere, stun us, shock us, and surprise us. We're standing in a moment of compassion and love for somebody, and we have somebody else right beside us that tries to destroy them in front of us. or they try to destroy us for the blessing and love that we're extending to another. How do we remain encouraged? The only way that I know is to embrace Yahweh's presence, to submit completely unto Yahweh's life-giving breath, the Amun. And for those who have welcomed in the gift of God's holy presence overtaking their tongue, to actually speak the living prayer that is God's presence within you, whether there is a word that is given to you through English. Yahweh, thank you that you encourage me, that you strengthen me, that your presence is with me in all that I face in this moment. Yahweh, I trust in you above all things I see evidenced upon the earth. Yahweh, I know that your spirit is my strength, the vitality that flows through me even now. There is nothing that governs me or owns me. I am one within your spirit. So even for this homeless individual that we witness, Yahweh, I thank you to know that your spirit is within him, that it is your strength that rises. Not merely the words that come forth from my mouth, but the very nature of your strength, your spirit, your guidance, your wisdom, your clarity, your discernment that rises within him, to raise him to a new state, a new elevation, a new recognition, to free him from any spiritual ground that may have come upon him that brought him to this place. I submit myself fully before you now that the nature of your divine design would prevail within this moment, to bring encouragement upon your son, encouragement upon your daughters, anybody that faces any form of strife today, any misunderstanding, any lack of clarity. Yahweh, for sons and daughters upon this earth, as parents hold great concern for situations changing within their lives, I speak now the words of blessing. Yahweh, I know that your spirit is present with each of your sons and daughters, that they will continue to move forward with clarity, that they will allow for the circumstances of the earth and the situations they witness to become an instrument to draw them closer unto you, that they might recognize your love and your presence and your sustaining grace within all that they face. This is the word of life for this moment, speaking for the nature of those that hold any concern over their children, and also speaking for the children themselves, that they would recognize and know themselves as the adults walking in the fullness of your grace and power, fully fulfilled within your love. Freed from all spiritual lack and moved to a place of holy abundance. We are one in you. As I said before, each time we draw to these prayer calls, I relinquish and release any thoughts that God has brought to my head or thoughts that I'm considering or pondering, the last 2 or 3 days as I'm approaching this prayer call. And these different thoughts come through, or experiences on the phone calls with people, and I just relinquish and let God guide the process, to let God's living prayer of the moment, not Larry's construct, to emerge. To trust and know that God has a greater vision for the moment. Trust in the leading of his presence. For God knows the living prayer that lives within his spirit. God knows the living prayer that is poised, rise within his essence, and the very nature of his essence is present within you. We are one within the holy and life-giving presence of God. We look upon all people that have come against us in any way, and we release any lies they may have spoken to us, any words that were formed through perception that are not of the nature of your design. We relinquish the spiritual ground that they express and embrace your holy and divine grace. I see now, even within this prayer, that it is covering the ground of many revealed throughout this past week. Not one individual, but many. Even people that I've met within the marketplace, as I've gone in to go food shopping and encountered a couple people that had great distress in their hearts and situations they were facing. I trust and know that God holds greater power than that which they witness upon the earth. And where are we as we witness these things? Are we still immersed in the spiritual process that others thrust into us by their words? Do we doubt the nature of where we stand before God? I know I have many times in my life, yet that I show and rise and witness something of God's holy design that is so beautiful, remarkable, and miraculous that I never could have perceived in the midst of the storm. A holy reckoning of God's Spirit, releasing all spiritual deceptions hidden in the background. The storm unearthed things that were hidden in the ground or hidden beneath the growth of the earth. And as it is stirred and raised up, it is brought into the light, and God's Spirit can restore it and make it whole. Unless we hold it here bound in the nature it was revealed, we must relinquish ourselves fully before the presence and Spirit of God, so that the Spirit of God has control over this process, not the spiritual things we witness. Yahweh, we are one in you. We thank you that you have formed and expressed the living prayer of this moment, and we trust in you. We are one in you. We are complete and whole. We breathe with you. Yahweh lama kotor kabrios pasifieriu tutora havun rikaiberesh kundala haman. Havun laba hunde kumbrayes pasipietru kumbiafa. Again, as I stated earlier in the call, how do we remain encouraged and in peace in the midst of all that the world reveals? Please know that the only answer I have for that is the embracing of Yahweh's presence, the recognition of Yeshua's authority, and the breathing, the life-giving breath, the Abun that is God's Spirit within us. At the very essence of God's Spirit would be the one thing we know, is we are freed from that which we witness with our eyes and opened to the reality that God holds greater power than even the things we are invested in through emotion, earthly attachment, that God holds greater power than that which we witness. Yahweh, we are, I am, Allah, Foshen, Dekol, Beyers, we are one within your breath. Abun solo kondre deshnikir yama, alama taktu tiyevekaturiana. Breathing deep. Yahweh, I allowed for the prayer of your Spirit to emerge and come forth. Now we sit in this moment, breathing deep, to meditate upon your presence and your presence alone. We breathe deep within us. Exalting your name, Yahweh, breathing deep once again. Yeshua Yamalaya Kongurius Serion Dravachumyo. Releasing completely, then breathing deep, Yabun. Abun laiba khandul poetorian kesi serum the tatuya hamun yor kuyus. Allow for this moment to be the singular recognition of that which is God's Spirit within you. Relinquishing holds upon all that you may have witnessed throughout this day. And please, please remember that every single thing we witness of corruption upon this earth is first spiritual in nature. If we develop the habitual nature to release the spiritual tie first, the processing that we must encounter to go through what we are experiencing becomes a process of learning and empowerment. However, if we are not willing to do the release of spiritual nature, we will be held to the suffrages of the witnessing, the experiences, the things we must encounter. Please remember that as we release, we are not just participating in something for ourselves. We are participating in the surrender into that which is perfect and pure within God. It can only come by surrender and the relinquish of all that is not of God. And I feel led to complete this call at this stage tonight, to just breathe into God's presence and allow for God's Spirit to overtake within our sister Ina. And we welcome her in.
Seeking God first in all things. I just briefly share just a little bit as Larry was sharing just now. Some things I won't go into, but that just transpired just prior to me getting on the phone. It has to do with my own family. Falsely accusing. Difficult things when it's your own family. Sometimes you can take things when they're not your family, but when they're your own siblings and they say things, it's natural to sort of take it on yourself. But what is being revealed in this moment that has to do with my family? The spiritual nature that has been put under the carpet for many years. And it's real easy for us, and especially for me, being the oldest of 5, to sort of take it on myself, like, what did I do wrong? Okay, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. But no, the truth of the matter is walking in God's grace, seeking Him first, and knowing that these things must rise. I could go all the way and deal with the situation I did with the golf course and that corporate body, and I know a lot of you are in those situations where you're in situations that rise spiritually every day. I could deal with that and release it a lot easier when it comes to our family, because that's where the heart is, whether you've been in a relationship closely with your family or not. It's still, for some reason, as we know, and grow closer into Him, is seeking Him first, staying in His presence, and releasing those things that do come on you, because that's really difficult. And even in this moment, I wasn't even going to talk. I didn't want to get on the call. Nada. I didn't want to. I have enough to deal with, just like we all do. You want to know transparency? This is transparency. Let's be real. This is real. It's not easy to be spoken to like that, falsely. And I know there's some things that I must release, and I know that God will. It's coming into order, but it needed to rise. It needed to be released. and not for me to take it on to myself. Because that's what we do. We take on these spiritual things and we carry them down deep within us. I just speak to you, as even as I am going through this right now. We're going to continue to go through this as we're upon this earth. As we come to recognize that more and more of these influences and demonic spirits in a corporate setting, we can release them and be set free even greater to walk in love and those things of the spiritual nature that's upon our families, that's upon the corporate people we're involved in the ground that we're walking, they can be set free. And those captives are set free and put in the right order and alignment of God. So I just share those words with you of whatever it is you might be going through that has to even do with your family. To me, personally, it's always a little harder to deal with the family than it would be in a corporate setting that you see people every single day. So I just encourage you and know that God has preceded you in everything that you are walking in. As you release those spiritual entities, even the spiritual corporate ground that you're in, release them. Allow God's breath to rise, come into his presence, and walk in the fullness of that he has called you, and know that you are where you're supposed to be. You are doing what you're supposed to do, seeking him first. So I just encourage you and know that God loves you, and we love you. We go through things too, and knowing that God, we are here for a reason, to set the captives free, to let those around us know how deeply he loves them and how deeply he loves us, and that we are healed and delivered and set free.
And in that, I want to add to that what Ina is speaking to when she mentions the corporate body. You have to remember that family is corporate as well. As I was speaking to the nature of the homeless person and the different situations that we see and witness, they've been named as part of a corporate body as well in the homeless. So in the situation that she's experiencing within family, be vigilant, remembering that the words they speak within themselves, if it stirs and elicits a response within you that you actually agree to the words or deceptions that they speak to you, or you fall prey to them, it's revealing that it is hidden deep within you. So it could be spiritual shame or spiritual guilt or self-doubt or self-judgment. When it's come from a family member, it is honestly there to be revealed and healed, not for you to continue hold bound in this place.
Yeah.
So as we embrace the loving presence of our God, our divine creator, that holds greater power than even those within our family, we must relinquish the demonic that is governing their actions, because they don't even sound like themselves when they do this, and they don't even know how they're respond or the words and how hurtful and wrongful things can be said, because they are being governed by that which they do not hold power over, because they are blind to it. So if we see these things that come upon us, as many of you know, the things that I've witnessed as people have tried to steal grace healing ministries, come against the ministry, churches have tried to destroy it, and you watch and you see the demonic, even people that are quote-unquote loving can't even stop their actions as they're trying to destroy you. An individual sitting there trying to pull a gun out of his pocket to shoot me one time in a meeting because he didn't like the way I taught about the love of God, couldn't even reach to the gun within his pocket, but wanted to. He was getting so aggressive, hostile, angry, he couldn't even stop himself, but God was stopping him in a moment of grace. There are so many things upon this earth that we witness that are beyond our control, but they are not beyond God's. Please remember and know that not only did God know that we were going to encounter this situation, he is already the answer within the midst of the storm. And that peace can only be embraced if we are willing to relinquish the spiritual things that we see rising, yes, even in those closest to us, within our families, our friends, our corporate settings, or the marketplace, or whatever. It cannot own us. For God is the source. God is the one thing that owns us if we allow for it. And Yeshua is the greatest authority within all creation. If we can submit ourselves before that in the fullness of love, we will see greater things upon this earth. Of a blessed nature, freedom for the captives, as Ina was saying, and the holy recognition of birthing new life into each and every situation that we see that rises of corruption. Lay not hold of the corruption. Surrender and let the living prayer of God's presence rise within you, free you from their influences, even if they were present within you because of a family tie, and then allow for God to bring the words of life to you upon the page or upon the words that come forth from your mouth, and allow for God's Spirit to govern you in such a way that it brings order, blessing, freedom, restoration, healing, unity, charity, compassion, all attributes of God's Spirit to bear upon the circumstances or situation. Even like our brother witnessed with the homeless. It's about bringing this message back in to help people understand that they couldn't even see the nature of their calling, but to speak that message in love to them will raise them up to move toward it instead of them entering into a place of arrogance to fight for the ground that they thought they were holding on to. So we complete this time within the name that is our life-giving God, Yahweh, Yeshua, Abun, Toholi Veshinakili Viendra Hamundra Kwandiri, Nadavikai Betenturi Visisieri Wandra. So we be trusting, breathing, embracing. We are whole, we are complete. Amen.
Amen.
Enter into the miraculous from this moment forward. And thank you so much for sharing what you did, Anna.
Thank you. And God bless each and every one of you, and have a blessed evening and a week in what God has ahead for you. We love you, darling.
Yes, we do.